Hello, everybody. Another episode of live streams, which are part of the here at the Open SSF. My name is Ram. I'm joined by a very special today. To them, I just thought to make some quick announcements. So, for those where we're doing a bunch of different live streams as part of the Open SSF India initiative here. The OpenSSF is a project of the Linux Foundation, which is meant to focus on security projects that are in the open source domain and concerns itself largely with securing open source software. Hearing a lot about security being affected, and the OpenSSF exists to make software more secure and make software reliable, better in quality. And for as part of the work that the OpenSSF you can pick up, so there's a bunch of the courses that are available as part of the Open. Above the projects that the OpenSSF has, please check out openssf.org/projects. Guest today, I met in technical difficulties. Hi, Sangam.
Yes.
Are you
Is
here?
it audible? Yeah.
Okay. Yes, you are. It looks like I don't know if it's a connection issue on my end, your end, but it looks like we lost a few minutes on the stream. I really apologize for that. Difficulties. I just lost power at the start of the stream. I seem to have lost connectivity now. Hopefully, everything is normal. Once again, well, thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you, Ram, for the great initiative, and thanks for inviting me on Open SSF India initiative. And I think the name itself a lot about Open SSF, what it is. But I would like to give my introduction, and then I want to give my background a little bit, and we're gonna start around Open SSF, open source security in general, and you might be a beginner, or you are just a developer guy but don't know security. uh, for those also, you can implement OpenSSF from the starting. So we're going to cover kind of software lifecycle and what need of OpenSSF or a supply chain security in the general. I'm going to start with what OpenSSF is. OpenSSF is a foundation under Linux Foundation. The initiative is to secure open source libraries or a software what we consume today. But I will come up with an analogy that might help you to understand why we need this open SSF kind of a foundation to secure what we consume as a engineer, or to build our software artifacts or software, how we delivering and how we scanning, right? So before that, like most of the software built using open source elements. You might using some browser, you might using some kind of application. Maybe when you can go to the one of the biggest, like mobile application, mobile operating systems like Android is open source. The world is like consuming a lot of open source kind of thing, and now it's a time to secure those kind of components, right? If you go to the National Vulnerability Database, you see every year the vulnerability score is the range of vulnerability is increasing dramatically. And from the last year, I would like to show some graphs so we can have a kind of a understanding. Can you share my screen? Can you present my screen so I can show? So I'll just present my screen so you can see uh, the vulnerabilities that today we have is crossing more than like 24,000 vulnerability per year, more than that. And that is the kind of concern today we are seeing building the operating kind of a software, and how we are consuming this uh, kind of open source libraries, right? And security is very important, and you see that, and also there is some of the libraries we use which is not kind of actively developed, which is deprecated. We need to see those kind of dependency as well, and uh, the software life cycle itself, like we need to have the developer kind of developer first security approach in the your uh, day ops or the software life cycle itself, and every stage of the kind of software life cycle, we need to see the SBOM. What is the SBOM? SBOM is a software bill of a material. So so I will come with like simple example or analogy. What is SPOM? So let's say you go to restaurant, you order something, and what you order, the menu, you have the menu, what you order, the list, their price, right? You get a nice bill after your dinner or you do breakfast, right? You know what you are eating. Same like in the operating system, kind of a software engineering field, or the those who develop, so we know we what we consume, that is very important for us now, because let's say some attack happens and we all, mm, not like a security engineer, but we need to know what we are consuming so we can make our software better and secure, and we can identify where this problem is happening, because you might be consuming or using a lot of dependencies. Then it's very difficult for your security team as well, or the your uh, kind of engineering team to tackle those kind of a problem. uh, so that's also very important. uh, Ram, can you share a screen so I can show you
Sure.
the?
Yep.
Oh, is it visible?
Yeah,
Okay, it's
it's
visible. Yeah,
visible. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So let me make my screen bigger. So if you see what is open source is like a lot of libraries that today we use, is Top of that, we build our infrastructure, we build a kind of software, and the what we consume, the dependencies, the library is very important. If you see the last year data here is from 2023 or 2022, the vulnerability list the is going high and higher. It's a risk for the digital infrastructure or your business logic, you can say. And you can say the state, this is from the last year report, by the way. You can say the state of open source security. If you go to OpenSSF site, they release every year kind of a state of open source security. I think if you are wanted to implement, you can see the what data and how it's impacted, what is it secure, what industry practice doing. It's a good nice white paper, you can go and read uh, those kind of things to make, but also we you can check this site called choose a license. The open source license is very important. What you are, what kind of software you are consuming, what license it has. So it's very important before adopting any kind of library to your uh, software life cycle, right? So this is a typical software life cycle, right? And every life cycle from the planning to design to develop, build, test, every life cycle, it gives some kind of bill of material or assembly line, you can say. And every component, you see the configuration drift, you get some out of it, and you can use that metadata and understand who is a supplier and who is a consumer. Let's say I plan, I post, I develop, I build, and I test. Those are a supplier, and the consumer is what you install and deploy. Those kind of thing. We need a kind of a better uh, kind of a standard around SBOM to so you can have the kind of a better reports to understand, or you can give that report to your security team so they can understand where the which library is affected, is it updated, is contain any vulnerability, is contain any secret, is contain any malware, those kind of thing we need to. Also, there are like third party kind of dependency we use. So those also we can have the capability to tackle the what dependency graph or open source software we use. And no, it's a SBOM is just not a kind of what we are using, but it's also, is it signed, is it verified, or is it contain any secret, or it's contain any kind of malware. Those kind of thing also important. But why I'm talking about the software life cycle, so when we build kind of any software, uh, the software life cycle itself has a kind of a configuration drift, and because of that every time your SBOM might change, right? So you need to think the SBOM of whole infrastructure rather than a particular component. But it's good to have very early stage kind of, when you plan, when you develop or build, that time itself, you if you add this component into your to your development cycle, so it's easy to you to produce a better software, right? Secure software. So developer first approach is very important because that's where the bones of the your whole software is relying on. So you need to tackle the risk first rather than most of the like people do a monitoring stage. So that is also kind of end of the after drifting, because uh, SBOM for SaaS product is kind of what we need to achieve the end goal, but we need to start from fixing the sub, like software life cycle itself. So that's kind of very important role. It's play very important role in every stage. So this diagram shows you the whole kind of software life cycle, bill of material, how you can use, what kind of metadata you get. Using this metadata, you can kind of apply the compliances and all those kind of things. So you can have a better, secure open source software, right? Or supply chain. So let's see the what we do. We have the source code, which is where our truth or of a application, and then it contains the dependency and build and all. What we need to discover is the what kind of a component we are using in open source, using what kind of libraries we build this particular program or the application. We need to have the list of the component first, and then we need to, is it secure? So you need to see, uh, like you need to check the CVE. There might be a different CVEs databases, so you need to check with all those kind of things, so you can have kind of automated kind of vulnerabilities, the risk of the application. So ensure that your open source is a secure, what you are consuming first of all, that is secure, so you will not get any kind of issues later on, right? So you can do a kind of in-depth security review before using any library or whatever the application you build. The project health is very important. If you are consuming any kind of third-party libraries, it's very important to have the what is the project health. Is there any vulnerability contained in that particular open source project or the library? You need to do a static and dynamic analysis of that code is secure or not. Also do a code review if you use any third party kind of libraries. Also, whatever configuration you use, is it secure? So this kind of thing you need to kind of tackle, very important. So how you are responding to those kind of vulnerability is also important, right? So you can check easy one first. So you can have a kind of a 0 day vulnerability, you can say. So to achieve first whatever the vulnerabilities already exist, if you found that, you need to secure that. If there is a new one, so if you have a research team, that's good. But you try to see what the risk factor of that particular vulnerability, so you can focus more on that, uh, so you can solve those kind of vulnerabilities first. So this is the diagram, shows you the how we kind of what we need to see, or how we do a development, local development, and you have the external contributor via the open source initiative itself. Like you have a source code repository where all people contribute, right? That also you need to secure first, right? It's very important in that kind of case. So you have the local development environment, which you do write a code. You have a dependency management like Gradle, Maven, you may use Go mod, Cargo for the Rust. So there is a lot of early stage concept or the development when you start planning and designing your application, right? And there is, when you publish that repo to the GitHub or any like any kind of source code repository, or like these kind of a vendor, right? From there you get a lot of contribution, external contribution, right? That time also you need to check, you need to have this kind of a check. Is it response, is it secure? So what happened, one of my favorite example, like Homebrew. So Homebrew has a lot of kind of application, right? So let's say I'm an active contributor of Homebrew, and I start contributing like lot of things, right? And then maintainer thing, okay, I'm a trusted, and he will give me the access to the main branch or the main mega maintainer, right? Now I have the, I'm an external contributor. I can commit any kind of wrong code as well, right? You need to have the some kind of test, because we cannot trust external contributor as well. So you need to have this kind of check factor very early. It's a kind of a, because we don't do a kind of a background check of a person. So what we can do is mostly we can do the checks very properly, so we can have what we are committing code or artifact to the our source code repository, and how we are delivering to the kind of a consumer or the supplier or those who use those dependencies, right? You have a source code, you do some kind of testing, validation, and need to have a CI/CD pipeline, right? So in that CI/CD pipeline, you need to see is all the artifact is correct, or is it your image is signed, if you are using Docker kind of images. So those kind of thing you need to also take in mind before publishing any packages or anything out, like for the consumer. Now also the when you have the any kind of vulnerability, let's say, so it's a maintainer responsibility to uh, secure those things. Also, it's very important for organization if they can contribute back, because together we are securing the supply chain, right? So, so that is also very important, play a very important role, how we are uh, how we are delivering software to the uh, life cycle itself. Is it secure? So it's highly recommend to follow the open ssf kind of best practices scorecard. So that way you can have this whole local development to your infrastructure. So what are the main factor you need to cross check is that you see the vulnerability management, package identity, then you can say process integration, the health, project risk, security audits. Is it any security audit present in that kind of repo? Um, so you need to check all this to finalize what kind of open source thing or the package you are consuming, right? Uh, or you need to have in your SBOM report, right? That is kind of a little bit on how we develop, what we need to focus on, right? Now we come to the another, like, on the SBOM side, right? So we have seen the life cycle. The what is the challenge we see is the SBOM is need to develop for SaaS kind of product right now, right? Because it's easy to like kind of get a SBOM of particular Docker image, or when you build something that time. But in SaaS, what happened every time you package something, you drift, right? The config because of configuration drift, the vulnerability might you get like different vulnerabilities, right? Let's say in my host side itself, there is a kind of some kind of a problem, right? And when you scan, you just secure your package, right? You don't see the whole infrastructure as a whole picture and the security. So you need to see whatever you are kind of consuming. You need to produce SBOM runtime SBOM for the whole infrastructure. So you can have, no matter what kind of SaaS platform you are using, you can have some kind of SBOM for whole thing. And also SLA is also important, right? So what kind of like artifact you are using, which is signed, secure. So there are a lot of projects in OpenSSF. One of my favorite in SimStore, which is help you to sign, and also it show you kind of a metadata who signed, and this kind of thing can help back to the to secure your whatever the dependencies and tackle from where it's coming, the source of that artifact, right? Very important. And when you talk about the cloud native kind of thing, so we have a lot of components there, right? We have the Kubernetes side, we have CI/CD pipeline, right? So you have a lot of things. So you need to take care. Like the SBOM is like responsibility of a maintainer, or it's a responsibility of a internal development team. It's a kind of a question, because not every kind of a open source maintainer going to give you the SBOM report, right? But good to have some kind of open SSF best practices, CLI practices, scorecard to your repo. So your the open source project is trusted. So So that is one of my recommendation. If you are using such kind of like you're publishing any open source project, so good to have a scorecard report in your or first test in your kind of uh, your repo. So those who consuming, they will understand that okay, this is a trusted project, and if they get any CVEs or how they can tackle, okay, because in the open source trust factor also important, and what we are consuming need to update as per the dependency change or new uh, updates from the vulnerabilities updates need to be there. So that's one of my take on only the SPOM side, but Open SSF has lot of material. I think you can go to the Linux Foundation side. There is a free course on open source security, how you can secure a software. I highly recommend. Uh, so those kind of thing uh, need to be considered. Also a software life cycle, uh, and you can see on my screen there is a QR code, so that contain a free security kind of process. But I think the DevOps pipeline itself, if you see the DevOps pipeline itself, are not a secure. So um, so there is lot of kind of every process, every like from when you plan something, you need to think about thread modeling. So there is lot of component is missing in the DevOps. That's why we needed a DevSecOps, right? That's a need of DevSecOps. But again, the that is okay. But what about what we consuming? How to build a better developer first approach is to secure your dependencies, secure your code first. Then you need to think on every kind of aspect of the life cycle. So I think,
So,
uh,
Sangam, I'm
yeah,
just going to pause you there for 1 minute.
yeah,
That's a lot of information. Thank you very much for that. And apologies if
no,
I had some connectivity issues, so I'm really sorry for that. For those first few minutes, I think you had some hiccups there. I just want to follow up on some of the things that you said. So, um, this whole concept, you talk about threat modeling, you talk about introducing security awareness in the SDLC and things like that. For a beginner,
mhm.
what are some of the tools that are available that can help with this? Now, obviously, um, thanks for the shout out to the OpenSSF courses. Those are available, but in terms of tooling, or in terms of something that can automate this, in terms of how to onboard somebody easily to do this, are there tools that are available that somebody can start using, or what is a good starting point for this? Can you touch upon that a little?
Yeah. So one of the thing is very important is uh, open source dependencies. If you go to there is a tool called OpenSSF Insight, right? OpenSSF Insight from Google. Yeah. So they build a tool that will show you uh, kind of, okay, you can go to deps.dev. I will share a link on a chat. I think that might be helpful. Uh, so, so you can go to the open source Insight, and it show you the your npm package, go module, maven, python, cargo. So when you go and search that package, it will show you the graph of particular open source project, and also it show you the dependencies and vulnerability if there is any vulnerability content. So first thing is whatever you consume, you need to have something like that, right? So one of the thing is easy way for the developer first approach. You can build a GitHub action for SBOM, okay, that will show you uh, kind of when you build something, you can have that particular thing using that GitHub action very early. So that give you a lot of package analysis is very important. That what also the OpenSSF has a package analysis feature. Okay, you can see that repo. You can have the kind of uh, cron job kind of scheduler that can help. So I will share a link again, so you can get that information. So let me, yeah. So another thing is SBOM everywhere. Also, kind of a repo you can see on OpenSSF, which give you a lot of kind of uh, the end user reports and all, the adoption and everything. So you can go and check the action plan. You can adopt few of the things, and there is a OpenSSF has vibrant community. And another thing is scorecard. So go and check kind of uh, the scorecard. You can generate a scorecard actually, report or uh, of your open source project. So you can run a checks on particular uh, kind of, it's again it's just a GitHub action. So you can go, I will share that link. Its name is scorecard dev. So if you are using any open source kind of or project, get that kind of a report. For that, you can use Homebrew, Nix, or Docker, but you need to give a GitHub auth token to uh, get those kind of reports and all, right? So that is another one of my favorite. And uh, another you can check is one of project called Sync. So one of the thing is a project called Cosign. So Cosign is another project. Uh, yeah, we share the link. Yeah, so Cosign is a signing your container or artifact or any artifact is very important to sign your artifact. So net you will get to know if there is any problem, is it verified, is developed by somebody, right? So you can reach out, or you can fix easily from, or you will get the information or metadata where from this source is coming, or who is the contributor, what the security factor, or all those kind of things. It's help you to secure your like artifact, or maybe you are using some kind of registry before pushing into the registries. And cosign support uh, most of the registry, all the registry I can say, and it's a very useful tool. Um, so that is one of thing you should have in your particular uh, open source or the development life cycle very early. And also there is one of SLA version 4. There is site for Salsa. Okay, I think that is one of a site. I think I recommend everybody to follow, so we can get a kind of a very early kind of what I was talking about in the software life cycle or the building packaging uh, kind of a life cycle. So I will share the link here. So it contain all the guides, and it has version 1, version 2, and there is a big release. I think from last time is version 4. But so there is a, you have enough kind of there is a community present out there. Also, it's a kind of a open SSF project. It's part of OpenSSF, so you can get involved uh, around, understand how you can produce kind of safeguard your artifact integration of your supply chain. And this is one of a, I think one of the important uh, it's a kind of shift left uh, approach to the security. So that's where we need to focus first, and that way we can basically have a kind of very secure kind of a supply chain. That is the first step, you can say, to the securing framework or securing your artifact.
Sangam, it feels like there's a lot of
Yeah,
things to do
yeah, yeah, yes,
just
yeah,
for the first. um, so
yeah.
um,
It's one of the thing is very important, like what library you are consuming it's secure. So scan those kind of library first, check is it secure. There is a lot of scanner today out there, and then you can have a S-bomb, right? Because no matter what you build, you can have a S-bomb, so you understand what you are consuming. Then once you have SBOM, the first step is scan that SBOM's vulnerability. Let's say I use a Go version 3.4. I use Go version Rust. I use lot of dependencies. So first step is get SBOM report. Next step is whatever the one dependencies you are using, scan vulnerabilities of those dependencies because we are consuming that, right? Then check is any secret uh, is present there. Also check the malware. There is a lot of scanner out there, and I'm gonna show a few of the kind of if I have time, I will show one of approach of producing uh, S form of whole infrastructure. Right. So
yeah, that would
I
be
think
good.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, that's kind of give me time. Just I will make my so we'll just bring my demo up. So
yeah, sure. Just take all the time you want. Um, yeah, for folks who are viewing this, just a quick recap of the different projects that Sangam spoke about. Um, there's uh, there's a couple of tools that let you understand your dependencies better. So the package analysis tool and the open source insights tool, those are the absolute first steps, in my opinion, that you need to take. Now, once you get past that, I think scorecards are a great way of assessing the health of your repo. It's a very simple API call or a bunch of CLI commands or a GitHub actions that you want to take in order to get that going. And then you can move on to stuff like Salsa if you have the bandwidth to really ensure that your infrastructure that you're using for build, for deploy, and all of these things are sanitized and isolated enough. And then finally, I think Cosign is a very key project in terms of determining identity of those who are either supplying artifacts to you or in determining your identity as a supplier to any downstream consumers that you might have for your artifacts. So I think Sangam, that's a very good picture that you've painted of the entire SDLC and of all the projects um, that can go in to create a very secure environment for anybody either creating or consuming open source content. Is your
demo is ready.
ready? Yeah.
Let me
So if you
share
can share your
my
screen.
screen. And
Mhm.
so whatever I'm presenting which is open source. Okay, you can try yourself as well if you want. I will share a link if you wanna see what sandbox. Just I created a simple sandbox that show infrastructure and the bigger picture of why we need a SPOM and all those kind of things, right? How to secure like open source. So is it visible screen?
Yep, screen is up now.
Yeah. So before presenting, I used to work at Defense, and we built something open source project called Thread Mapper. Also, it's a part of CNCF, and it's open source. Totally, you can try out this. It's name called Thread Mapper. You can go to GitHub. You will get kind of this. And so before like jumping into, I will give a little overview what we're gonna see. Uh, we're gonna have kind of a dashboard which how I have my whole infrastructure, my agent and everything connected to it, right? Then I have the topology of it, how my infrastructure look like, what are the traffic coming from, which kind of inbound connection, outbound, what traffic goes out, what cloud provider I use in general, how many agent is deployed, how many Kubernetes cluster, what Kubernetes cluster contains, what kind of container, then pod. If there is a cloud resource, so you will see the cloud resource. Then you have the thread graph, which means that how attacker can attack your particular infrastructure or thing, because that is also kind of a security risk. Then you have the vulnerability. So I have already scanned whole infrastructure, putting agent. Okay, the pre-made sandbox. You can try this sandbox as well. I will share you link to this. It's read-only kind of environment, so it's secure. It's just for the demo purpose or education purpose. Okay. Now I have the vulnerabilities of my this thing. Let's say I have 25 vulnerabilities, but I will check what the most important vulnerability for me. This is also the kind of a challenge in today's market that I have the lot of vulnerability. How to solve? I don't have the bandwidth of the security engineering team. So to tackle that problem, we build this thread mapper to solve really the kind of a open source security issue, so everybody can use. And this run as a just a Docker Compose file. This is just a microservice as a security, you can say. Now I scan my vulnerability of a particular whole my infrastructure. I get a thread topology of nice topology. I get what top attack path, how attacker can attack on particular agent, what my CV present, what my uh, port is open, right? So those kind of whole thing, you get kind of a nice graph here. If you click here, you get more. Then you have this vulnerability, and that we are doing from a long time, right? But how about you have now agent everywhere connected, and you have the whole picture of the infrastructure and your whole kind of how you are consuming. You are developing the software. Now you have the runtime kind of, and by the way, this whole solution is a kind of a runtime. You change anything, you get a whole changes here. So there are agent already there, kind of a Docker, just a Docker file. You can Docker images as a agent. There is also Helm chat or Kubernetes you can use, or you can use for the your Linux kind of EC2 instances or the on-prem kind of thing. You can put agent anywhere, no matter what you are using, like Docker, Linux, or whatever, right? You get kind of, you can put this agent and it will graph the topology for you automatically. So now I have the topology, I have the vulnerabilities, I have scanning malware, right? Now I need to scan whole my infrastructure. So I will check something called runtime SBOM, or you can say the just SBOM, which is like whenever drift happen, the agent build the SBOM for you. Okay. Now let's say I have this particular agent post here. So I see the package name, I see the location of that particular directory where it's present, all this their thing. I see the CVE score, what are the CVE present in that. I will see the criticality of that particular project. Now you can see whole of this thing where that agent is particular thing running. If I click that, you can download, send it to your kind of whatever security team, or who is whatever whoever the responsible. So if I click there, I get kind of check another one. Okay, you see whole report, whole kind of a detail. Okay, of those things. And now we have something called thread rx. We like the added into this open source, which go to the chat gpt or those kind of like other llms. Using that llms, you can have kind of solution remediation for that, right? It's very difficult for the developer guy or the sometime engineer to tackle that. So you get the kind of a nice information that is very helpful for you to understand more what that particular vulnerability. So you see this kind of vulnerability which is coming from the your particular S bomb, right? You have this particular agents running, and when you click that agent, you get whatever the packages it's consuming into that particular like microservice, you can say, right? You can see this vulnerability, uh, and you see the kind of a source URL, the database. So it's very important. So you have the kind of perfect solution for you to you get a vulnerability, no matter you are using host, container, or images. So you can have SBOM for that, and also kind of a secret scanning of that particular thing, then malware scanning of particular infrastructure. So you can use for the you can connect different AWS, GCP, Azure accounts if you are using. You can connect the Linux host or the Kubernetes. It's just a one Helm chat. You need to deploy. It will automatically show the this kind of a thing. So how it's important. So if you see here, user management. So you can have, let's say, I have a manager. I have a security team. So I will add a particular kind of a people into this account, so they can also see particular what kind of they can check what kind of a thing happening in their infrastructure. So it's a helpful for everyone. So if you are want to adopt this tool or want to try it out, go to once you go to the kind of you need to go to, if you want to see the sandbox, if you want to install, you can install first management console using Docker or Kubernetes. So you can just use a Docker, which is very easy, or you can just do a Docker compose up, which give you this kind of a nice topology. Then you go to setting. Now you need to know what are the how you can connect the agents, right? You can put agent using the just Linux machine, might be you are using a Docker. You can put agent, then you get a topology. Once you have a topology, you have kind of what you are using, what the agent, just say it's a DigitalOcean, and you have different kind of agent already there, right? So you can see their scan report, you can see their malware posture, then you can see what the connectivity, what process ID is running, then what are the images it's contain, then another registry. You go to the action and you start scanning your vulnerability. So once you get a vulnerability of whole thing, so you go to the vulnerability and you can check the like kind of a runtime SBOM of the whole thing, right? So this is one of you can select whatever you want, like particular filters. It's easy for those who uh, thinking a big picture. Also, you can have an integrated uh, like Slack and all those kind of things. So it will send you the particular notification. Okay, this is a new CB found. This new vulnerability. This is new SBOM report. So it's easy for your team to tackle. It's a open source completely, so you can try it out. Okay, and I hope it's useful for you, and you can check the site called community.defense.io, and you can check this project, and there are multiple projects, but specifically if you want to do the SBOM kind of thing, I highly recommend to see this blog. Okay, I will share you the link. Let me go to here. Let me share the screen. Yeah. Go to the site. I think hope its demo is kind of quick, very quick, and hope it's useful for you.
Sangam, I think that was very useful. I think it's important to give people an idea of what a good first step is. And I think
Yes,
a lot of projects that you outlined and the demo that you showed was very useful in that regard. It gives people an idea of, okay, this is like the first step I can take. And to talk to people about threat modeling and as bombs and this and that and vulnerability. It can be a lot of things, and I can really see how this open source tool can be useful as a good first step. So I would highly recommend that anybody watching this try that out. Yeah, I've shared QR codes to all of the stuff that you've showed, including threat mapper. So hopefully people will be able to get to
Yeah,
them. I'll try and have links to all of these included in the video description below for those who are viewing later, so that can also be useful.
yeah.
But
Also, there are yeah.
yeah, go
Also, there
ahead.
are a lot of companies that doing as bomb very like uh, very kind of, because it's very important to have some kind of open source manager if you are consuming or very big kind of, let's say, for example, where your security is very important. You might be a government authority. You might be working with lot of like third party, let's say, uh, because a lot of projects out there which is outdated, and it's very hard to uh, companies or startup to build in-house kind of solution, right? So that time it's very important to have some kind of team that fix a problem which is not open, like open source maintainer cannot afford a lot of things, right? Because it's not their responsibility to secure everything, right? But as what we develop, it's our responsibility as well to deliver the secure software to the consumer, right? So there is a solution called Lineage. They do like very great open source software management. Uh, uh, SBOM, they have SBOM Hub. Literally, like you can have the full pack of the open source manager out of box. So I think that is one of my favorite SBOM tool out there, which is doing the whole thing for you and solving a lot of open source issues.
Fantastic. I'll include links to those as well. Sangam, it has been a pleasure having you here today. Thank you so much for taking the time and sharing all of this knowledge with us. You were among the very few people who came up to me and said, "You know what OpenSSF was, and you knew all of the projects and things like that." So I was really looking forward to having you on the show and speaking to you. And it's not been disappointing. I learned so much today. Hopefully everybody watching this feels the same way.
Yeah, I think it's a developer. I think only one I remark I will give as like whole thing. I think developer need to learn some of this stuff, security stuff, and it's very important because the how we develop the software is changed, right? And how we deliver it. I think everybody to start very shift left approach to build those kind of things, so we can make our life easy in general, because everything built top of open source, right? If we together secure, it's easy for us to like have a secure software.
Cool. Yeah, just a few closing notes. Everybody, please be aware that the OpenSSF is hosting an event called Sauce Fusion. So, this is an event in Atlanta later this year. CFPs are open. If you're interested in submitting a talk, I would encourage you to do so. Um, watch out this space for announcements about upcoming in-person meetups. We had our first meetup in Pune a few weeks ago, and it was a smashing success. Lot of fun talks, lot of great networking, lot of information to share around. um, Unfortunately, we did not record any of the sessions, but hopefully I'll be able to do that in future. But if you'd love to participate, please reach out to me on LinkedIn, on Twitter. However, I'm more than happy to chat with you and see how you can help and how we can help you shine the spotlight on open source efforts, particularly around security, that are being spawned in the subcontinent, in this geography. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you in a future episode. Thanks,
And
Sangam. Bye,
yes,
everyone.
bye and attend the meetups and the event. I think that is one of the best source to learn. Yeah.
Absolutely.
If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or Twitter anywhere. Happy to answer if I'm not covered something. Uh, so happy to help you.